Oh, hello everyone. This is Frenchie, aka Frenchie the sorry, Louis the French Minette from Schmoe's of the North here, and you're watching Schmoe Down 9 Canada Free for All special. We're on with me, like usual. It's Mr. Dan, or now effectively known as Maple Dan. How are you?
Yeah, I was about to say, like, as usual, it's been such a long time since we've been on
Eh,
our show together, but
I have a short
it's
memory
it's
for
not like
music
I
yesterday.
well, again, it's not like we miss each other because we're on Speaking of Schmoedown all the time. And
That is
I
true.
guess, speaking of Schmoedown, we've got the reason I'm Maple Dan and not just Dan to everyone, Double D.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Thank you for sneaking me across the border into Canada today.
It's our pleasure, and we have none other than Brent Buck from Schmo Me the Money. How are you, bro?
I'm doing pretty well, fellas. How about yourself?
Good. I'm ready to speak some Schmo down, and especially free for all. Probably my favorite event of the year. I love the spectaculars. I love the pay-per-views, but something about the free for all, the format, the anything can happen feel of it really makes me excited every year. Now, before we go in, we do have a tradition to go for our picks, who we really thought was gonna win if we had any before it started. So I'm gonna start with you, Brandon. Who did you click in your mind for you is like, yeah, this person might actually like run with it.
So I'm a little bit biased. I train with Ben Bateman, so I know what he's been doing the last 4, 5, 6 months. So I know how hard he's been working. So my pick was Ben Bateman.
All right, and UWD.
Yeah, my pick was William Bibiani. I mean, I worked with him on Trivia SD, and seeing him last time where he was number one, ran through the whole thing, like, you can't doubt the man knowing his movie trivia knowledge. So I had William Bibiani. So to see what happened to him was like, oh, hopefully he gets MVP, but that obviously did not happen.
And what about you, Dan?
Well, here's where I am very, very sad because my pick to win the free for all was not in the free for all.
There you go. And who was
Because
it?
it was Chance Ellison. And honestly, watching the whole event, if he had come out in Mike's spot, I would have been so goddamn excited. But like when the Mike version of the Corruption song came on instead of the regular one, I was like, oh no, no, I'm not going to see Chance. But I mean, everyone in Corruption actually did like very well, and so I can't be disappointed in my faction. I was just sad to not see Chance.
And for me, I wasn't biased in this one. I actually went through logic. For me, the master of free for all is Bibiani, but who soaks in all the information, who really works to try to emulate and surpass Bibiani? It's the kid himself. Boy, was I wrong. But anyways, that was my pick for this year. That was my logic. Now let's go on for when it started, right? For the first people that came in, I was surprised how stacked it was. I thought they were going to pepper in a bit more stars along the way, but they put a lot of heavy hitters right at the beginning. Was that a good thing?
I think so because it kind of highlighted Jacob London, who really knocked out William Viviani and basically reversed, basically did the Mark Draco, the XXX65, and
Mm.
really highlighted the rookies this season. So it made me say, okay, I know who Jacob London is. It doesn't, and I now know who uh, like Kim Taylor Foster. She's kind of survived it for a
Yeah.
little bit, and this is the first time she's actually been in there. So it really got me to know the rookies a little bit better.
So, and there wasn't too many. It's just the way the free for all kind of grinds people out if you can't like keep up, because looking at it quickly, like the first 10 people are Irwin, Saul, Barbarian, Tingle, Bibbs. And like that's three very strong people, but
Yeah.
Barbarian's knocked out uh, pretty quickly. Collins comes in, he's knocked out pretty quickly. But you have Parker, who comes in right after Collins as like an IG player. That was kind of surprising. Although I know what Parker's able to do in regular singles, so
Yeah.
not so much for me. And then I like the addition of Andraco in that mix because you need that hype moment. Is like, will Andraco do it again, right? And then Dan coming in, but then Zipper, Newman, Swift, Hoik, like that's not the biggest names in the showdown. And they overlap a lot of these stars, especially because a lot of them get eliminated very quickly.
Yeah, no, for sure. It felt like overstacked because like around 10, you had like the people I would think, I would have saw maybe Murrow halfway, like closer to the end, right? Again, maybe just to give them a shot to have like a Ben Bateman versus that Murrow situation. That being said, it still feels stacked, but you're right. One person that really surprised me at the beginning, and by the way, we're going to put this graph on from time to time, but I do have to thank the incredible Eric Chan for making this graph to make our lives a bit easier. So thank you, Mr. Chan. All right, but what we can see here, the first people, Barbarian, Brad Tingle, William Bibiani, but then you had Mark Hugh. And I think it was in Schmoe North chat, someone said Mark Hugh maybe was not a fluke when it comes to free-for-alls. It might be his jam. What he did with horror and the capacity what he did right now, it might fit more in the standards of like what he's used to beat the geeks. Straight like answers, no strategy, no like deciding, no promotions, just pure knowledge. And I think he can definitely be a powerhouse in the free-for-all because he's shown a lot of potential. What do you guys think?
I mean, he went 4 rounds, so that's not too bad. I mean, yeah, it's not as many as Bibbs, who had 10. Bateman, I think, was at like 14.
Yeah.
Yama had 9. So, again, he didn't do too bad, but he was on a table when he got knocked out. So
But
it's just,
for a guy who hasn't won, right? That's why I'm like, he can't win. He can't win.
In my opinion, he is it's either him or Adam Witt is the best competitor without a win in a match.
Let's give them a match against each other.
Right? Give them that singles match against a Adam Witt versus a Mark Hoik and see who finally gets that W. I'm all for that.
And what do you guys think? Do you guys think like Hugh is really, if he practice, could be a free-for-all beast? Especially, we saw the knowledge, right? Like we just said, doesn't reflect the records.
Yeah, I think that he was perfect in his first 2 rounds. I mean, he answered every single one of them, and I think the reason why he missed was maybe movie release dates. I think that a lot of misses were that. So. Yeah, I think if he practices a little bit more, I think he could definitely be one of these superior players that can actually take that free-for-all winner, maybe even MVP if in the actual event.
Exactly. And look, at the same time as Mark Hugh, there's another name that got added in, and I was excited to see in general. But I was really impressed, even more than his matches, and that is Griffin Newman, or News, we should call him.
Yeah.
Wow. Not no one, but he wasn't really thrown out there when it came to MVP. And I saw people talk about him, but they were talking a lot about Jacob Blunden, Oyama, etc. Griffin Newman was really a sleeper hit in this one. He stayed in character. I like what I see. He fits Finstock. Now more I see him is like, yeah, there's nowhere else he can go but Finstock in my mind right now. And, he didn't hit like 5s, but he was consistent enough. He had 3-3, 1. He did hit 5s. 5-4, 2-4, 5-4. So he's always in the tops, right? There was just one time he got lucky, got on the bottom, but got saved. But for the rest of the time, he's in like the 9th percentile of competitors. So what does that tell you for that player itself?
I mean, if you look at it, he's he's in Blundin's XXX5X. Like
Yeah.
he scored 4 points in the round he was eliminated. I can't fault the guy at all.
Yeah.
That's what's so crazy about both table clears. You had a 5 and the rest were 4s.
Yeah.
Like that to me is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to see just one time of it happening. We got to see it twice this event. So, and obviously, once the first time it happened, it's like, okay, Bibbs got it, and it's like, okay, it seems very
It's the king, yeah.
Yeah, but then he gets knocked out by obviously it was Jacob London, not Griffin Newman. But to see it happen again, that was like, whoa, I was not expecting that. I was just laying on the couch, and then that made me like, whoa, what just happened? So I was definitely impressed. But yeah, Griffin Newman could have probably lasted longer had it gone a different way.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's the Bibbs was involved in both table clears in this free for all, and he was involved in Andraco's big one. So this is the third time he has been in a full table clear of.
Technically 4 if you count the. Technically it wasn't XX5, but he cleared in free for all.
Yeah, he cleared right before.
It was a 4.
Yeah.
If you want to be technical, but I count 4.
And I think there was there were Sam's was also a 3-point table clear, and I think I saw somewhere that Collins had a 3-point table clear in the horror free for all, but
yeah, I don't have that marked down, but
Another great point from Jacob's table clear is he got his revenge on Jacoby Bancroft.
yes,
Because Jacoby was on the table when he cleared it. So it was just based on timing, based on when his match dropped and when we got the free for all. So I thought that was pretty cool. I bet that felt pretty good for him.
And I'll have to be honest, Jacoby versus Jacob seems like a natural, respectful rivalry that I cannot wait to see evolve.
Yeah.
Because Jacoby's fun to watch. He's like Bibiani, but more, I don't know. Yeah, like he's on the beach, Bibiani, you know. But he's perky. But at the same time, he knows his stuff and he's likable. But you don't have like a bad guy, but you have someone that's intensely quiet, reserved, but very focused, which is London. And I find them against each other really makes sense. It makes it different than just having an evil guy or the heel, the dislikable, I'm gonna Twitter the shit out of you until you get annoyed rivalries. It makes something for different, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's two different guys, but extremely different personalities. And to see that happen, even with their own match and their actual match, it was actually fun to see. Even though these are new rookies, they never heard of them. It was actually quite enjoyable to actually see that again in the free for all. They actually now have like an equal playing field in a way.
All right, so let's talk about the first, again, go back around the first 5 rounds. Were you surprised on, it's like if you would pick the from round 1 to 5, someone who disappeared very fast and you were expecting them to do a lot longer than you thought, who would it be? I think the obvious choice is Dan Murrow, but maybe else than Dan Murrow.
I would think maybe Barbarian could have lasted a little bit longer.
I mean, he went 3, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, but that's average. When he's kind of hyped up to be better than that, so I would think that he could last a little bit longer. But I think based on how Robert Parker's been set up, especially with the families, I think he could have lasted a lot longer too.
Yeah, for me, it was actually Adam Collins. For the notoriety he built himself, the knowledge we know he has. Yes, obviously it's a sweep, but having Collins at the 4th round, the 4th seat, you would think that he would go on maybe to like round 20 if it wasn't for the clear out, right? So that for me is the biggest shocker of someone that really went early in the round, and I was expecting to see a lot later.
Yeah, and I would go with something like early on. I was really hoping Ben Goddard was gonna make some noise, because he's impressed in every part of the Schmoedown that he's been in, and sadly just got hit with a bunch of rough questions and was out in one round. And later on, I was really excited when Mara came out, and I kind of saw that. I thought Mara was going to be one of the Dungeons 5, but I honestly should have said it on air at some point. I would look like a genius, but
it's always in our heads, right?
Yeah, and I was impressed by her first round. Her second round was obviously like shaky, and like good luck to her in the inner geekdom realm. But I do think like she has to watch all of those movies with Dan, right? Like eventually.
Yeah, they both watch them together. That's why once Dan goes into inner geekdom, which I don't think he's going to do this year, because he's going to be either defending the singles belt or challenging for the singles belt again. I don't think he's going into inner geekdom again. He watches those movies with her, so they're both helping each other out.
Yeah.
So it's really great to see.
I think that might be the worst thing. Like, if Dan enters Inner Geekdom, Mara will never lose another Inner Geekdom match, because they will have to watch those movies so many times and study together. She has such a
sudden death round 101, right?
Exactly.
It's like, PJ, you better have like 500 questions ready for that match.
Yeah, and even then. And one thing I want to re-put the screen on, because it's something that kind of made me laugh. Let me just go back to StreamYards here. So if you look at seat 5, 2 people. There's 2 people on seat 5.
Yeah.
Is this the longest running seat of any free-for-all?
Gotta be.
It has to be.
Well, actually, no, because William Bibiani sat through the whole thing. So
okay, yeah, true. Okay. It's probably the most shared seats between just 2
that's a
people.
little bit better phrase. But yeah, let's see. I don't have a phrase like that. But
also curious. Seat 1 is like the hot seat. You have so many like 1 round and 2 round exits on that seat. Like,
there's almost no blocks, huh? Like, who's the longest person? It's Kim Taylor Foster technically on seat 1,
and Ethan Irwin.
Yeah,
he goes 4, and then after it gets cleared, seat 1 becomes the defense against the dark arts position at Hogwarts.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is a good analogy. Trick question, Bibbs doesn't sit.
And it's funny, look at the names on there. Okay, look at the names. You got Ethan Irwin, Eric Zipper, Video Drew, Ben Goddard, Lynn Shannon Miller, Alonso Duraldi, Peggy Gubbins, John Roca, Stacey Howard, Kim Foster, Sabrina, Janine, and Alex Damon. A lot of them are hard hitters, and it is the quickest seat to get rid of, right? So that is something that you said right there.
Yeah, well, I would think that. I mean, I have a hard time with Alex Damon, because he is good in Star Wars and he's getting better in IG, but singles, it's a lot of films that I don't think he's watched all of them. So I'm not very surprised that he only lasted 1 round, because even when I'm going like, what's he doing in here? I know it's a free for all and that's the point, but it's like, Roxy, come on, he's good in Star Wars and IG, but.
But is there anyone else on that faction that you would put there instead of Alex Damon?
Well,
Plus, like, you have to look at schedules and everything.
Yeah.
But
That's another thing I was thinking about.
I also think with what he did in the champion versus champion match last year, and just there are round one average of questions in the free for all, and that's why I disagree with Ferris, because like Alonso Duralde is an amazing first round player, whether or not he is like a heavy hitter in everyone's eyes. It's kind of, you have to look at the context, and like they were peppering in a lot of the IG categories and everything. There was
that is
at
true.
least one per round, so I could have seen Damon sneaking a few. And if you're gonna give him number 40, it's the best spot for him to come in. And
But
now
I have a
now
better competitor.
Zaflirt and Flaus will never be forgiven in my eyes, because I used to love him, and then he took out Alex Damon.
Well, if I was Roxy, I'd probably put Brendan Hannon in if he was available, obviously.
Well,
And
but,
that would
but,
probably go. What
by the way, Jay Wade's like, Brandon is gonna win everything. Wasn't even a damn thing, Jay Wade. Ha!
I heard.
win.
I was listening. I'm like, no, but if he was number 40,
But I think
then
you're right.
yes,
It was probably an issue with schedule. He just was not. He couldn't be there for when they were
Yeah.
filming it.
For sure, but if I have a chance to rub it in Jay Wade's face, I'm gonna do it. So, hey.
I'll stop you.
Okay, so let's go back to the thing here. All right, so then we have Jacoby Bancroft. Okay, again, was amazing, but part of the clear out. If it wasn't for the clear out, let's look at his potential people. He actually went out right before Ben Bateman, Jeff Snyder, Alonso Duralde. Do you think he would have been able to survive with those competitors?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he could have gone pretty far. Based on what I saw in his match against Blunden, I think Jacoby could have gone probably. So he went 2 rounds. I think he could have probably gone anywhere from 5 to 10 rounds. I think Jacoby would have done really, really well, but he just was on the table when Blunden cleared the table.
Yeah, and again, sweet revenge, sweet victory for Blunden. That
I don't know if he would have survived maybe 10 rounds, maybe 3, 4, but 10 rounds is a lot, especially for a rookie. I mean, obviously,
Brendan Meyer in Free For All 3 went like 10 rounds.
yeah, I think it was 12.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's kind of like not a rookie as much as a rookie can be, because he's got a ton of experience answering movie trivia questions on the internet. Like Jacoby, I could have expected to go 10, 12 rounds, because I know his ability to answer first round questions.
and also it's not his first free for all experience. I know for a fact the multiplex did free for alls, right? So he has experience in the format as well, which is a lot more than certain people could say when it comes to rookies, right? So that also, there's little factors like that can really put in dimensions to equate a longer run. But again, for me, Bibiani is probably one of the only ones, and maybe now Ben Bateman, you could have reversed them, right? Ben Bateman could have been in the beginning and probably did the Bibiani of the past, what he did, right? But Bibiani is one of the only ones I see again in this graph, and year after year, to really able to go the first round and just stretch it the longest possible. I don't
because
think
the knowledge that he has, it's just such a vast knowledge. Like in terms of actual knowledge, there's Ethan Irwin, there's Bibiani, there's Murrow, people that just they know so much about so much.
Yeah.
So that's why the free for all. Typically, Dan does pretty good in the free for all. This one was definitely surprising that he went the 1 round, because I think prior he had always gone at least 5 rounds. So
he's like the Samuel L. Jackson of the Deep Blue Sea. He's there. You think he's gonna survive to the end, and he's just get eaten by a shark.
Yeah. Dan Morrell. I did. I forgot. I did the numbers for Dan. He averages around 11 and 12 rounds for both free for alls. He's only been in 2. He wasn't in the third or second free for all, but yeah. So
we thought we were gonna get him in that second free for all, and then Andrew Guy decided to kill him.
Yeah. So.
Now, you said you had stats, right? Do you have any interesting stats you can compare to what you maybe other ones beforehand or this one itself? Do you have anything interesting that really stood out at you, Double D?
Actually, I literally just got. I'm kind of labeling them, but I mean, it's actually been under par. I mean, other than Ben Bateman kind of rising up a little bit because his is. I mean, I think last time. Again, I don't have
Ben scores 56 points over the course of 14 rounds for an average of 4 per round.
Damn.
And Bibbs scores 42 over the course of 10 rounds for an average of 4.2 points per round. So, yeah, that's very, very close to the same level and what you can expect out of Bibiani, and a very, very new but not totally unexpected thing for Ben Bateman. His performance in past free-for-alls does not equate his actual skill. So even though it's never been his event, it's great to see that it was this time around.
Yeah, and again, like usually in a free-for-all, you're going to have 2 people having pretty long runs. We had the kid Bibiani, now it's, and the difference is they were against each other at one point, right? This one is one after the other, but there's usually 2 long runs and then a couple pockets of good runs and then the blips, right? But this one felt a little more, if I can prevent myself, blippy, because it shows free for all as like a map, a season overview of what is on Schmoedown, right? The people we haven't seen yet, the people, how good the people are right now. And that overview kind of shows me right now that there is depth. There's a lot of people that's able to knock out other people fast like that. And it's interesting to see. There's going to be a lot more challenges this year, next year, compared to the years we have. And that preview is because of free-for-all, in my opinion.
Oh, and yeah, Paulo Yama scores 41 over his 9 rounds for just about the same points per round, and yeah,
4.5.
Yep.
And that's really, really very impressive all around, and it's tough to kind of come in as a less experienced person when you know you need to score an average of about 4 points per round in order to.
The look on Paul's face though when he won, because he thought Ben got it. He thought Ben Bateman got it, so then they'd have to go into more sudden death. When he saw he put Wolf, he's like, "Oh shit, I got the
also,
excitement
like, that whole
on his face."
That whole story they had about it, and like how everybody on their faction needs to know this question because it was on their rookie combine, like, which we know from both like hearing about it and we know who Swag kept. Like, we know Paul wrote a lot of those questions. Like, him and Lon just probably wrote a study sheet, and then Chandru wrote the IG side of that study sheet, and that went out to anyone who wanted to join Swag.
Yeah.
And it's really great to hear like these insane, like, real life events building towards a victory.
and Paulo Yama winning it feels almost poetic with the story, his storyline right now. The whole like story, like disappointment and trying to connect with Winston, it just feels like it was made to be. I wasn't rooting for Paulo Yama though. I'll be honest. I was actually rooting for Ben Bateman because as much as he's chokeable and that smirk, that grins, like
he used the word chokeable.
But
So
damn, like if you compare to like the first time he came in, the brand new, him to him now, he's amazing. You cannot not talk about him eventually be on a the Rushmore, right? Because he's advanced and progressed, and he is the sport like John Roca is a sport as well now. And it's hard to fight those characters. So damn it, man, I was rooting for you, Ben.
He just needs. I think if he gets the singles belt one more time, gets a teams belt, maybe defends each 1 or 2 times, he's gonna be up there.
which, speaking of, Paul Oyama, we've got. I wonder about that too, but I want to see what Paul does with this title shot. Are we looking at a singles title? Are we looking at a teams title?
I don't know if I would
challenge
do
Mara.
teams based on how Lon played in their last teams match. If I were Paul, I'd be a little bit hesitant about going for
No.
that teams title match.
You go teams, but you reshuffle.
I think 5 rounds makes it a difference.
It's gonna make it worse.
I'm
You
not
don't put
sure.
you don't put down. I as much as I love the character, I think this season kind of killed me on Lon Harris. He's a good competitor, but the importance of if you have a championship quality player on a team that's going for a belt, you gotta have someone that can back it up at least in a mid championship level. You have like a B roster. For me, Lon Harris is dropping to C minus. He's a good character. He's fun, but he's not bringing the material and the knowledge needed to bring that build.
He did look good against the Godfather, so that's why I'm like maybe
Yeah.
I want to see him in another teams match and see how he does. If he does well, then I say maybe consider, because I think Paul is not too far away from a number 1 contenders match. So why would he use his title shot when he's almost there by himself?
He's got a year.
Exactly. Like
He's got a
singles-
year though.
Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
a whole year from yesterday to use that shot. So why rush and use it now?
Yeah,
Like,
so
I
singles
would get
is-
if he
nah.
had just lost the belt, then I would understand. Oh yeah, use that right away. Go ahead and get it right back. But he's been without the belt for over 12 months since he lost it there. So I think he is one more win. I think he gets a number 1 contenders match.
Also,
I don't even know.
I would sit on it if I was Paul, just to see what the playing field is and see what eventually who's going to be the next champion. What's the landscape like further down the road.
And reshuffling, right? Like he could go for teams, that's for sure. But you would have to give him another partner, or he can wait. He gets a shot and tries again if he doesn't win, or if he loses the belt. And if it gets close to a year and he doesn't have to because he's still champion, well, you just give it to someone else, right? Now that being said, for me, still, I keep forgetting who's on Swag right now. Who is a potential if it's going for a title team?
I have the roster right here. You got Paulo Yama, Lon Harris, Shanju, Zipper, Kelly, Cabrera, Mancuso, Haley Fouch, Jen Kemp, Jonathan Harris, Bradley Tingle, Frank Moran.
Jen Kemp. Paulo Yama, Jen Kemp. Something about that. You need someone who will cover your bases, but also has very good general knowledge, like Paulo Yama, to double up your points. Jen Kemp is one of them.
Yeah, she did really well in the free for all as well.
She was. I was rooting for her.
I love the duck outfit. I loved the duck outfit. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think well, obviously Laura's in contention for belt, so that's out.
See, the
But
interesting thing is, the recent announcement of the teams thing, where next week we are not having an Odd Couple versus Shazam rematch for the title belts because Odd Couple had a scheduling conflict, and I think it was announced that they have until the end of May to have that title shot, whether or not Odd Couple will be in it or they won't. So basically, we could end up with a vacated teams title, and I don't know if it would be immediately awarded to Shazam or if Shazam will play the winner of the corruption versus tournament winner.
I
And
think I think based on history, you would play the winner of the tournament and then they fight it out.
unless final exam goes, this is my money in the bank, this is my opportunity to win a team's title, much the way Brienne used it against the Shire Wolves. Like, the Shire Wolves were that number one contender. They were supposed to play the team's champion, but then they didn't get to. The belt was vacated, and so they just played the title shot contention.
Yeah, there was sick in the head.
Yeah,
Sick in the head.
but like the Shire Wolves,
that
like
match was.
they yes, but the Shire Wolves stood in for the defender in that match because they were the number one contenders at the time.
Yeah. But
Well, you have to remember the winner of the team's tournament plays corruption. So say they do
But final exam doesn't get to be in the team's tournament
No.
because the midterms have already been signed up. Which also, like, just on the by, like, great name for the B team to final exam. Like, it's old partners of both of them. Final exam, midterms, perfect. Like, I love it so much.
Clever name, Winston. Extremely clever name. I loved it too. I'm excited to watch them play.
Yeah. And yeah, I really think we need more matches out of Lon. Like, he had a really great season last year with a couple of flubs. Like, everyone likes to mention the time he forgot to answer a question, but they won that match. So it's really hard to like point at it. And then there was that real bad match, but I've seen Mike Kalinowski score 4 points in a first round before, and I've also seen him win teams championships. And I've seen John Roca score 4 points in a round one and also win teams championships. So it's real hard to say based on one match. And I really liked his performance against Drew, and
That's why I want to see Lon in another teams match to see if it was just a one-time thing or if he just.
I'm actually
else.
disappointed that they can't be in the tournament because I think that is a good time for Lon. He hasn't like overperformed in singles tournaments, but he does play at a pretty good pace, except for playing Adam Collins. That was a very tough horror category. That really should have been a strength. Honestly, I was not even mad at him for taking the horror category until the questions came up. But like, I think that tournament structure is good for his game, is what I'm trying to say. Of like, you've got a match now and you've got a match in 2 weeks. So you're building on a structure. And there are some players that excel in that time of the year and other players who are kind of better at just stepping in and playing the one match, the two matches, and
because you can get in a rhythm when you play in a tournament. Like, just playing it in a tournament, you get in a rhythm. You're like, oh, I have a match here, then I have another match in like 1 to 2 weeks. I get to do it again. You get in a rhythm. When you're in singles and teams, when you're like, oh, I play now, but then I don't play again for another 2-3 months, you could get a little bit rusty if you don't stay focused and you keep studying during that off time.
Yeah, you just said it, Brandon. You just said the exact same thing I was about to say. But yeah, I would like to see Lon play one more team match just to see if it was just a fluke or if he can actually improve on what he already has had. And before I say let's give Paul another partner and maybe make him a better champion, but make them better champions. Yeah, let's give Lon one more chance because we have seen him play really well in the past. Let's just have him one more chance and hopefully he can be better the next time around.
I would love to see Paul with a team's belt because I think Paul is one of the most talented competitors we have in the Schmoedown. He gets right there with teams. Like he almost did it with Zipper, and I think Loose Cannons, I think was the name of his team with Eric Zipper there in season 6. Got really, really close there. We know what he did in singles. So I would love to see him with the team's belt because I think if he gets a team's belt, probably puts him near the top of the best players in the Schmoedown.
I would say like maybe he has to defend it, either a belt. Well, he has defended a singles belt, so
I'm saying like top 10. Like I'm saying if he wins a team's belt, he's definitely top 10 best player in the league. Like right now, I think he's just at the top.
Yeah, I could say if he gets a team's belt and maybe defends it, then he obviously gets up to that.
It's kind of tough because like since season 4, we've been adding 2 people to the top 10 every single year, and we're running out of top 10s in the Schmoedown. Like you could almost name you can really almost name 20 people in the singles division, and if you gave them a 5-round match against the belt holder, maybe they walk away with it.
That's why I would love to see a fatal 5-way for singles.
For the belt?
No. Because right now there are so many competitors that really should be fighting for that number 1 contender. I would love to see just a fatal 5-way, and the winner of that plays Dan. But I know Christian's not a fan of fatal 5-ways.
And I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think fatal 5-ways are only title matches, or at least that's how I thought.
I
they
think
did
the
that.
Only ones...
But
No.
I thought that they announced that at the beginning of the season, where fatal 5-way matches are title matches. I could be totally wrong. I just thought that's what it was.
Okay.
They've mentioned like they were talking about triple threats for title matches, and that was a whole thing. And but like there have been fatal 5-ways that aren't title matches, but originally.
But even in my notes it says like triple threat title matches, 4-way title matches. I don't see. I have one that's labeled triple threat. I don't see any 4-way or fatal 4-way regular matches. So
Okay.
I think all they have is title matches for fatal 4-way, fatal 5-way.
But if you did like a 3-way for a title match, 5 rounds with 3 people, do you know how long that match would be?
Yeah.
That would be like an hour and a half.
It would be a special event. It would be a live thing, or it would be a throwdown, right? A super packed, awesome throwdown or versus, right? Something.
Well, what if? Okay. Are we? I know.
Mad scientist. Mad scientist.
What if we make? What is it? The elimination chamber.
Oh.
So you take 6 competitors, and it's kind of a free for all with a wheel round, and then you do like a regular match and a wheel round, and then other people are rolling in. And
but how would that work?
They've done that in the past. I think they left. I think they left that in the past, but I think because when Christian was on with us for that first special, he talked about title matches if it's between 2 factions, and then there's one that's from opposite. I think that would be something that we could do. So if let's say, Dan's the title. Let's say Dan's the singles title, has the singles title.
If Ben had just won the free for all, he would have a title shot right now.
So let's say Ben Bateman. I'm just pulling a name out on my head. Let's say Ben Bateman gets a number 1 contender shot. Paul Oyama could use that use that belt for a triple threat and have that as a triple threat. That way you don't have to have like a tournament and have...
That is possible. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's Actually, you bring up a curious point because I'm not sure if the free-for-all belt shot supersedes the champion's choice over whether or not to go triple threat or not triple threat. Like Alex Damon,
Yeah.
who, as the
Yeah.
belt holder, was given the choice of playing DiMolanta and Kelly separately or playing them at the same time.
I thought that was given to Andrew. If I
No,
remember correctly.
the choice
So,
of
yeah.
whether or not it would be a triple threat was
Oh,
given to
okay.
Damon. The title shot was given to Alex.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or
Okay.
Andrew,
Yeah,
I should
that's
say.
right. Okay. I
And
remember you're wrong.
and honestly, he had the triple threat and the automatic rematch. So he had like so many choices to make right there that I'm not sure if I might have gone triple threat with hindsight. If you knew you were losing it, you just go triple threat, you get both matches out of the way, then you use your automatic rematch to just take the belt back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm wondering if the free for all shot like supersedes that, and if you do have the choice to just add yourself to the upcoming title match. And now let's see if we get a triple threat teams match for the title.
I don't think they will do it.
Oh, that would be insane.
In the digital age, everything will run super smooth.
But
It'll be
Christian
fine.
doesn't want to do teams in the digital format.
Daniel, the only thing missing right now in the background is like laboratory stuff and like lightning. You are the mad scientist right now.
I should add myself to this board.
Yeah, the fact that you didn't add yourself to the Schmoe Minati board makes me suspicious of you, Daniel. That being said, let's track back the free for all for just a tiny minute, and then we'll talk about the future matches and how maybe this impacted the future matches as well. I got lost for a couple minutes. What was the last part we were covering for the free for all? Where were we at?
We've covered a lot of like the beginning and we've covered the end, but like if you guys have any specific people you want to talk about.
I do want to talk about something. As much as she's awesome and I like her story, Peggy, I think, is the only one who got 0, right?
Correct.
Yeah, Peggy's the only one.
That doesn't look good. Like Paige for Freddy, also another one of her competitors at least got 1, right? This at 0, it just shows how free for alls are. You can be the best trivia person to have certain experience. Free for all is its own beast, right? Does this speak to Peggy Gubbins what we can see maybe in the future, or was it just the lights getting there?
I think it was just bad luck. I just think that she got questions she just didn't know the answer to, and that's what the free for all can sometimes do. Is you get 5 questions that you just don't know the answer to. So I don't think we need to read into that much that she got 0 out of that. It's a special event. Like Frenchie said, it's his favorite. It's my favorite one they do every year, and it's not even close. I think it's one of the most entertaining events that the Schmoe does every year. Like, I look forward to it every year. That's why last year I was so... Yeah. Peggy is extremely good. We saw that in her match. So I think her getting 0 doesn't really mean that much. So don't read too much into it.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, like it was a rough round, and like looking at it, Brendan Meyer got 3 points, and I think at least one of those points was a movie release dates question. There might have even been 2 in that round. Like it was a bloodbath. And
It really was.
Was that John Rogan's first round?
No, because they sat in the same chair, so Roca and Peggy couldn't be on.
That was the round that had 2 movie release date questions. I literally just watched that just before. So yeah.
Oh yeah, actually that was a very fun round. Roca is so entertaining.
Yeah.
He is, but that's the other person I want to talk to. Roca is entertaining, he's fun, but you would have thought that, I don't know, he would have lost in more than 2 rounds. And look at his stat. John Roca, 3-3. He was answering mid pack. Same thing for Brendan Meyer
Actually,
and Jeff Snyder.
But I'll make a correction. John Roca actually scored 4 points in that
Okay.
first round. That's why I wanted to double check. So yeah, he scored 4 points in that first round.
Okay, so he did a bit better, but you see, the people that you would think would do very well is like the people who've been in it since the first one, or been in it more than once, right? So you got like Eden Irwin, John Roca, Brendan Meyer, Jeff Snyder, anyone. Well, obviously William Bibiani, but that goes to our expectations. Mark Andreyko, right? And they all had 2 or 3 rounds each. So this was really not a year for returning players.
Well, I will say that John Roca hasn't really done extremely well. I mean, he's probably done 2 or 3 at most. I can probably say that. But even when I was doing my analysis for last week's speaking of Schmoe, I avoided John Roca because I was looking at all the like, okay, he's a good player. I'm like, oh no, do not use John Roca in this example. Yeah, and I used Ethan Irwin, Dan Murrow, Bibiani because those had longer rounds. So having John Roca in there, I was not surprised he lasted only 2 rounds because that's kind of like what he's been doing in the past.
That's one other thing I wanted to talk about, like the variance between the live free for all and digital free for all. Did it work for you guys? Was the digital like something that we'll start with did it work, and then I have a second question after.
Yeah, I thought it worked just fine. I didn't see any problems with it. I didn't see any major hiccups with it being pre-taped because I know logistically how much of a nightmare it would have been to try and do this like live on StreamYard. No, thank you.
Yeah, because I talked with the boys at the multiplex when they did their own, and it was complicated. It's like, okay, we got like 3 people guy come in, we have to find 3 more people. It's like the randomness sometimes of preparing one is amazing. But there was a couple cuts. I saw a couple cuts, so things probably happened.
Yeah.
Just not to our knowledge, but I'm sure shit ensued anyways. But it felt streamless. I forgot that it was it was something different. And I actually personally maybe even preferred it online because free-for-alls are hard on a live stage because there's a lot of people. So you get like zooms on a couple people, but the full table you don't fully see properly. I prefer it online because you see everyone on screen and there's no distraction because it's a stage with that many people. So for one thing, I actually hope it continues digital versus live.
I will have to disagree with you on that one. I'm again a little bit biased. I went to the live free for all there for Free for All 3 and was one of the best experiences of my life. Just the atmosphere, being there, at doing it live, is just there's so much chaos and I'm all for it.
Yeah, I was at the Chicago free for all, Chicago event. Sorry, but it was just such a great energy, and for the most part, when the match was there, when the match started, everyone was silent. We all cheered and at the appropriate times. But to go back to your question, it did feel a little different because of the times that we're in. But other than that, it did feel different, but didn't feel bad. I was definitely happy, but I definitely noticed that there was something different between doing it live and yes. It's far away. You're not having people right up front, but you can say that about every live event. That it's always far away.
I find there's a difference. I understand where you're going, okay? Because yes, you got other live events, but usually the way it's taped is you still got like a little table. Free for alls is different. It's like a Comic-Con panel, right? So like a Comic-Con panel, you rarely stay to one shot. If you want to have one person in particular, you would have to bring them up and you kind of lose everyone else, right? So it's hard for me, I don't like watching Comic-Con panels for that reason. It really serves online because you see all the action all the time, all the expressions, all the cast at the same time, without any distractions, and it really helps me get it more into the zone personally. I understand for a live event, if you lived it, the emotion is attached to it, but just as Canadian, that we don't still have our live events, damn you Americans. For someone who never really had a chance really to go to a live event, I actually personally loved it. What about you, Dan?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's one thing for the pre-taped and the digital, and I will say, like, you could hear the music. Like, while I love the entrances and everything that people get to do at live events, I love people's entrance music more. Like, the music coming on and hyping a person up before you get to see them is my favorite thing about the free-for-all, of trying to guess who's coming on. Same as like the Royal Rumble in wrestling. If you're not familiar with everybody's themes, you're trying to guess off the first couple of notes before everyone else, basically. And then there are the other people who the first note of the song, you're like, I know exactly who's coming on, and I cannot wait for it.
Like JTE being able to use shipping up from Boston.
And Jeff being so mad about it. That was great.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Also, like, I wonder if he pays for it at this point, because he's the only person who still gets to use it.
You never know. They may just contact the band, and the band's like, yeah, sure, why not? There's certain bands that are cool like that. Or because if not, they would get demonetized. If they get demonetized, free-for-all is a big event. So
yeah, again, it doesn't cost that much to rent one song. The problem is if everybody is doing it. But if JTE just pays the $2 royalty every time, you can't say no to him.
And it's so attached to him, right? You hear that song. Now, I cannot hear... I used to listen to that song often. Now I listen to it, I just think about the fucking Patriots. I'm like, why?
Yep. Every time that I hear that song, Shipping Up to Boston, I will always think of the Patriots.
Also, speaking of that, like, we got Jacob and Jacoby on screen at the same time. We talked about it as well. But Ben Goddard and JTE were also on screen at the same time, and in an elimination moment together.
Yeah, and Goddard got JT kicked off the table.
Yeah.
So he got his revenge as well.
Yeah, like, let's look at that for a second. So, my eyes. Ben Goddard 8. Okay, so JT only lasted 2 rounds, but his main mission was just to annoy the shit out of Ben Goddard. They actually seem to have a good complicity. That's another rivalry I can't wait to unravel, if there's anything with that. Now, before we go on to the next match, I just want to talk about Kim Taylor Foster. She didn't last that long, but I don't know why. She has a je ne sais quoi. She has a something that kind of like stood out that she might be a serious competitor. Did you guys all have the same feeling, or just my weirding?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt like, this is someone who can hang in. If you can survive at least 3 rounds, you're considered average. And obviously, this is a free-for-all. It has a different format, so...
It was her first time playing, too.
Yeah, there's that.
That's another point. So, yeah, I can't wait to see her in an actual 3-round match to see what she does.
Although she is a film journalist, so she's in the business, and she definitely knows quite a bit about movies. I am curious to see, like, the free-for-all is a great place to get immersed into the Schmoedown as a competitor. I'm not a proponent of showing a free-for-all to a new person as a viewer.
Yeah.
Because although I know it's one of the events that hooks a lot of people in, I think you need an attachment to somebody before it really can
show them Guy Merle. Just show them Guy Merle and then show them a free-for-all.
Honestly, I prefer showing like the beginning of somebody. So I used to say Clark Wolf, but now I might even say like Brendan the Kid Meyer is a great story to start a new person on the Schmoedown path.
I get your sentiment, but I showed my ex her first Schmoe experience was the free for all with Bibiani, and that grew her love for Bibiani and Schmoe a bit. She wasn't the biggest fan, but she supported every time Bibiani was on because of the free for all. She would watch matches when he was on, right? So I agree, it's very intense and big, but you still have these kind of moments that can create a connection because Bibiani did something no one thought was possible. Now we expect, right, almost of him. But you can have those moments. You can bring in people personally.
Yeah, and I mean everybody is a little bit different, but I believe more in showing people like the actual show, and a lot of that is
Please don't. But it is a fucking good one.
That actually is a really good match. It's surprisingly so fun. And I mean, I was mentioning Clark Wolf. I believe her first match is Makuga. So or maybe second or something. So you end up getting a Makuga match in there anyway. Sadly, Brendan the Kid Meyer has never played Makuga. That would be the nicest match ever.
Oh, that would be fun.
All right, and also if you look like the really standouts, yes, you got Paul Yama and Bateman, but the newbies were really good, except for Bradley Tingle and Piggy Gubbins and for Brady that did 1 rounds. The really standouts.
May as well. Sabrina Ramirez, a sophomore, but still pretty.
Yeah, I don't. For me, the rookies, meaning like this is their first taste ever of like a season, right? Something can be made argument for Sabrina, but my example, Griffin Newman, Jacob Blunden, and Kim Taylor Foster are the standouts. And we already saw a Griffin Newman versus Jacob Blunden, right? I'm wondering, Kim Taylor Foster, for someone that has so much potential, who's left in the rookies for her to face?
Oh, well,
because I don't think she's announced, right?
No.
I don't think she has an announced match.
So who's left?
Frank Morin hasn't played, has he?
No, but he's not a rookie.
Oh, he's not? Okay.
No, he
Jensen, that's one who hasn't played any.
I mean, Frank is 0-1, so you can start looking at the 0-1 competitors. And
I was going to say, okay.
I might look at maybe a Blunden or who did Newman play? Newman played Hoik, which is
yeah, but you're looking for who in the veterans, like you got Witt, right? Like almost no wins, and he kind of needs like to swim up to
Sabrina,
try to survive.
That's who she should play.
Okay,
Sabrina.
Okay, that makes sense.
That would work.
Yeah. All right, good catch there, Brandon. It's so obvious. If you think about it, it's really obvious. We just talked about it like 2 seconds ago.
Yeah,
but that would be a great.
match. I know she's not a rookie, but she had 1 match last year, so she's still fairly new.
Taco threw out Doug Benson, who on the
ever
Usual
play?
Suspects. Yeah, he was a free agent, but he hasn't played yet.
Yeah. Felix Moore.
Hauser too.
Yeah.
He has a match. I believe he has a match scheduled
against
for
Horowitz.
May. Yeah, Josh Horowitz, who is half of the press room with Perry.
Yes.
Who I believe they played this week.
Yeah, I believe those were the announced matches.
For a good segue, let's talk about next week's matches. So let's go with that one itself. We don't know much about them, right? So is there anything in the air that give you a certain inkling of who could dominate? Or
Perry and her team last year had a first round major win in the team's tournament last year against Witt and Zipper.
Okay,
so I would love to see Roca go down in round 1. I would love to see that.
Okay, I misheard. So it's Perry's team that we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Perry is the press room with Josh Horowitz, and they played Rushmore, which is JTE and Roca.
Yeah. So Odd Couple has a scheduling conflict. Titles will be defended in May. Blah blah blah. New undercard for Kalinowski Damon will be announced later this week. So Kalinowski Damon got bumped from the undercard of a main event to the main event of a pay-per-view.
Okay.
So they will get a different match. Probably, I'm thinking maybe a Star Wars one will end up being thrown in there because it's been a little while since we've had one.
Whoever it is, it's not going to be fair because they get like a 5-day notice. So that's kind of.
And we got a Star Wars tournament coming up, so it would have to be a very low card, right?
Yeah, it would be people outside the tournament, but there are enough people outside the 8-person tournament that you could have one.
Is there anyone that wanted? Because I keep forgetting. Is there someone that would be new to Star Wars? Like, let's say a John Roca comes in a Star Wars match just for ego and proof that he's able to do it. Is there anyone else that was going to transition to Star Wars that you can maybe?
Wasn't Mara supposed to transition to Star Wars or?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Have Dan's first Inner Geekdom match against like Taylor Robinson, who's returning to
she actually has her match scheduled for later this month.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, HG. Rookies in a pay-per-view? No, yes, you definitely can. It just has to be the right. Pay-per-views is not the most always the biggest people. Look at the live events. We already had the real rejects in a live event. They're there for entertainment, right? So yeah, you could do definitely a rookie, but you put like a Blunden in. Yeah, he can. So what we can see right now, we can definitely see something good out of rookie. So completely disagree.
I don't think it's going to be a Star Wars match just because we have a Star Wars tournament. It might be another IG match.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I have a feeling we'll get it soon.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, and we're talking about the undercard for Mike and Alex, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Two. We already have like
Okay, so Garf, you seem like I've seen your post before, and you've been right often. So it'll be single matches and not rookies. Okay, so look, good to know. So let's talk about if Garf's right here. We're going in singles matches. Who should we put in? Who's your picks to put in as fill-in?
There's too many to think of, and there's just.
I mean, people who haven't played yet. I mean,
maybe Haley Fouch versus Sabrina.
But I don't know. I just did a whole spiel that you can have good undercards, but that doesn't. It's good, but you kind of be wasting an opportunity to create almost a storyline moment. So is there anything storyline that's not in the pay-per-view that you can still,
So ASG says it was announced during the free-for-all as a hint. So I'm curious. I wonder if they're just going to take a singles match that they had announced in May and just move it to this.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably. Actually, that makes sense. Yeah. All right. So for the other matches, what do we have now?
Brandon Hanna versus Robert Parker. It's not
even fair for Hannah. I feel bad for Hannah. Sorry. I'm gonna talk to you soon, Hannah, on Saturday. Speaking of Schmoe down with my boy Daniel and Double D as well, and we got other Schmoes in the North people. We're basically invading the show as Canadians next week, and I got you on.
Much nicer than the other guy. You're much nicer than the other guy.
Than Jay Wade?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's because you know me and the producer. I can be an ass too.
Well, at least you have that accent, so it sounds like
it is deserving. Thank you very much. No,
I'll be mostly a nice guy till I have to disagree with Lou on everything. That's about how it goes.
Yeah, and well, we've always find a way to work together, and that's what the fun of being Canadian. You can be hard-headed and still find a way. But that being said, for me, it's not even fair for Hannah. Hannah's an amazing player in his own right, but IG feels like very discorded. There's like the high end players, and then you got your good players, and then you got evil. You're there. So,
I would just pump your brakes a little bit.
nah.
Robert Parker hasn't played an IG match in over 6 months. Hannah just played one like 6 weeks ago. So I
Okay.
feel like the momentum. I think it's going to be closer than you think. I think it's going to come down to the fives.
Yeah, I'm agree with that, but I do think Parker might actually pull out the win.
Yeah, because look, Parker is good when he's focused in. Because you saw he gets rattled really easily, right? When he missed that question, he was talking, ranting himself 3 questions in. You can see he was like, until it cleared out his mind. So it lingers long. But because he's in unfamiliar territory, he had a slip up, okay, that didn't ruin his career, but people were so tired of him because he was so overhyped that people went against him. But he had one slip up, and the free for all is nothing to compare to what he's going to do in IG. He is a beast. Like Smedson won it the first time around, right? And he still became a legend. So there is a time that Parker is going to crank up a notch and be even more focused because he has strategy. He's with Ben Bateman. Ben Bateman, okay, changed the game by thinking, I'm going to study movie release dates. I'm going to study Oscars, things that no one knows right now to get an upper hand. Now, IG is so expanded on like around, what, 300 movies? Something like that? Or
It's like 290, I think.
so you can take your categories, you can specialize in them, not many people do, using Ben Bateman strategies and be dominant. And that's what I think he can do. So look, Hannah's gonna put up a good fight, but I think we're gonna see a Parker 2.0 for this season.
2 things on that. One, like you don't get wheel slice choice in the Inner Geekdom, so it's kind of hard to focus on one thing because your strengths might not even be put up on the wheel during your matches, and you don't have control over that. But on the other hand, I know a lot of the new IG slices are slices that were in the geek division in Robert's like other leagues. So like Planet of the Apes, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Terminator stuff.
Young adult adaptations, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff he is a huge fan of and already proficient in because he's been studying it for years and years anyway. So I think the expansion of the categories helps Robert Parker as much as it helps, like I've said about Mara Kanopik. I'm terrified for anyone who has to play Mara because all of those new slices are strengths for her.
Yeah, and it dilutes, except for Mara, it dilutes for certain people. Like we saw Chandru, he's an amazing player, but he kind of couldn't keep up with the new categories. So it was like he's good
because he took the Bateman approach. He studied every category. He was proficient in everything Inner Geekdom, but everything Inner Geekdom last year is only 65-70% of IG this year. So you just. It's tough. It's a lot of new things to study all at once for people who were implanted in it. But for the others who already knew this stuff, it's just adding new strengths to the wheel.
And Jake, again, he kept up. He even broke a record by him saying to achieve a level, right? Because it's always the goal when you're at that level is to win the championship. And you always have to see like you're really good, you can keep up. But what is needed to that extra step to always be better than your competition, to be the top dog? And to be the top dog, that's what we're talking about. Chandra was good, but we all know that Mara Kanopik is only going to improve. That's like the first version of her as a champion, right? I think she's able, if anyone is able to keep and defend and break the stereotype of IG is a hot potato championship, is Mara Kanopik. So to get at that level, something different.
Yeah, I think Mara has definitely improved. Even for in her first run, she definitely improved in her title match with Chandra. So I think she is only going to get better from this point. And you also have Dan Murrow as your boyfriend, who's sitting right there and say, "Hey, help me study," and just help
I-
out with any missing blanks.
I'm quite happy that I was hesitant to dismiss both Mara's and JTE's returns because, like I have always said that JTE was not like an A tier player statistically, but he was an A tier player in that era because there weren't people scoring 94% in singles when JTE was playing. And it was the same thing.
Because the questions were harder back then. Like the questions were a whole lot more deep back then.
They were vaguer, but also in a lot like narrower categories. So it's very hard to evaluate all of it together. But what I was just gonna say is just knowing those two people as personalities, stepping back into things, they knew what they were getting into, and I am curious about like people stepping back into things with Rushmore and with Lightning Time. Like some of these teams, I'm very curious to see if they're going to like go far or if they're going to kind of fizzle.
Especially Lightning Time, because as much as she showed good, it's not Miller's season this year right now, right? If not mistaken, she has a -1, and she didn't really wow in the free for all. So she's kind of feeling the starts of like a Paul Preston of past, right? That amazing, like, okay, this is your year, and then you know. So she has to dig herself. So if she doesn't win this next match, it's feeling a bit shaky for her. Was the usual suspect switch a good idea?
Probably, I would say no, because it seems like Sam Levine is he just picks like whatever the reason. It just seems like he's just always in that bottom tier. So I think it's maybe because Sam's not around. Maybe it's because Rachel is in the background and she's probably I don't know. But I think whatever is happening is not working, and they need to change it up a bit because they are not. Basically, how I've seen it is that they are just they're costing me points in our fantasy league. So it's like I gotta get rid of anything that Sam chooses because it's not working. So I'm hoping that God I have Ethan Irwin and Felicity Miller on my record. It's like, oh my God! I'm praying that they win at least some points because I don't want to lose.
I am, and I didn't even mention because it's kind of hard to read and speak at the same time. But I saw The Outsiders and didn't actually read the name Paul Preston, and that's another team that is so curious to me because
got it in Preston. Yep.
Yeah. Both of those players, I know they're good. I know they're proficient at the Schmoe game, but like they're not the two winningest players, and I'm so curious about that team. It could be like a very good one or a very bad decision. Like,
yeah, it's a flip a coin for me. But,
yeah,
I definitely seen some improvement with Ball, especially his last match. It seemed like he was better than he's been. So I'm optimistic that he will be better in the team because I think Ben is a good player. We've seen him play good. So
yeah. Even though he lost, I don't think he's sophomore slumping at all.
This was a loss, but it was just JT played better.
All right, so we are at the closing moments of the free-for-all special on Schmoes in the North, Schmoe.9 Canada. That being said, before we wrap it up, is there, if there's someone in your heart that didn't necessarily win the MVP or determined if you would accord a In My Heart award, who would it be for the free-for-all? We'll start with Dan, Maple Dan.
Well, I'm just gonna give some love to my corruption people, obviously. Jacob Blendon, such a great performance, but honestly, Marisol McKee's entrance gets me every time. Like the music works for like it's so weird because they're all a different kind of like bad and evil and villain, but the music kind of molds around each of them in a different way. So like when the music plays with Hoik, it feels like a murderer is chasing you with a chainsaw. But when it
Yeah,
plays
and
with Marisol, it's the power of justice, and I like that a lot. So
what about you, Double D? Who was your In My Heart award?
Yeah, I really hope that I obviously William Bibiani because he has a special place in my heart. But I gotta say also Video Crew. I think she could have lasted a little bit longer. Uh, she's always entertaining, even with the creepy. I mean, obviously I grew up a Tim Burton fan in the '90s, so that sort of thing just kind of like, yeah, that's my jam. But Video Crew is my pick.
And what about you, Brandon?
I know that he won MVP, but mine is Ben Bateman, just because he finally showed that he can actually do well in the free for all. Because the past ones he would last like 1 or 2 rounds and then he was done. I was very impressed that he was able to go 14 rounds, score 56 points. So I'm very happy for him. It shows that whatever studying that he's doing is working.
And for me, I gotta shout it out to Newmans. Newms, man, again, in the beginnings, and you could see, I could start having like an emotion. I could see him round by round keep on. I was like, okay, this kind of feels like the kid moment, right? So it didn't last as long as I wanted to be, but he really impressed me, and for me, he wins my In My Heart award. So that pretty much wraps it up for our special on the free for all. That being said, Brandon, where can people find you?
Find me here, Twitter and Instagram at BrandonBuck88. Can see everything that I'm doing. Also, make sure to follow our show, Schmoe Me Money, as we do a different type of Schmoedown discussion every week.
Very, very loud.
Yes.
And I can't wait to come back on and break the game again for you guys.
Might have to get you on with your boy Jay Wade. We may have to.
We might break in their record in points and decibels, my friend.
Yeah, we might have to, because I think Jay Wade said that he can't do Tuesday night, so we'll have to find, and maybe that week move the day so we can make it all work.
Bring earmuffs, earplugs, and aspirin, my friend. And Double D, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Twitter, simply at Dan Belinsky. And you can find me at the JCast Edward, that's the letter J, on Speaking of Schmoedown, where I run the numbers and I pick a topic and try to at least explain it a little bit better in statistics. So I try, but I just do it good sometimes.
And Dan, my man, where can people find you?
yeah, you can find me all on all the Schmoes of the North things on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, our Twitter, like any of those. I'll be around. I also do like the fantasy leagues on Schmoes of the North, and those are super fun. And if there's some interest, I'd love to kind of around the mid-season get a bunch of people together and just go over our fantasy journeys, but that's a thing for another day. Next week, probably, I'll be dropping episode 3 of the Best TV Show podcast, where I sit down with a friend and just have a regular conversation about their candidate for like Best TV Show, and we make a case for it as best we can. And it's really fun. You should check out our first 2 episodes. Our 3rd episode is going to be Avatar: The Last Airbender. So that one, I cannot actually wait to have the recording, and it's going to be really fun. So stay tuned.
Perfect. Thanks, Dan. And you can find me like Daniel, where Schmoes on Earth on this channel, but you can also find me on Speaking of Schmoe now on a Saturday. Again, as I said beforehand, Jay Wade decided to shoot some turkeys and lay back with no internet, electricity, and live off a fire. He's going in the cabins, and I'm taking over for him, and I can't wait to do it. So do not miss out. We have Hannah himself. I can't wait to see how that goes down, because I'm not his biggest fan and he's not going to like me. But I don't care. Anyways, it's going to be a fun time. Do not miss it out. Also, right after please don't miss out on this channel, Mount Schmoe, where we recently joined in with them from the brainchild of Brendan Buck, and it's in good hands, and we're doing awesome content. So right after, speaking of Schmoe on 4 o'clock, Schmoes of North, do not miss that out. All right. So
also, can I pop in 1 second? Just because I should have mentioned it on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday, same time as we went live here, 3 o'clock Eastern. That's noon Pacific. Me and Jay are going to be sitting down with the chairman, Christian Harloff, and hoping everything goes right this time around. I'm so excited to actually talk with Christian and see where the sport is headed and what we're going to be seeing in the future of this so rapidly growing enterprise here.
Yes, sir. All right. So yeah, don't miss any content we just mentioned, and don't forget to sub and like all the channels if possible. We're a small community, but if we help each other, we're going to become bigger and bigger, and we count on you guys. So that being said, thank you very much for watching Schmoes of North's Schmoe 9 Canada. Until next time, bonjour.